It's Talk Funny, a podcast by Mark Bailey and other comics from all over. We came to Japan to see motorists that have a drive but they don't know how to. The Talk Funny podcast from NagoyaRadio.com and Nagoya Comedy. Here's Mark Bailey.
Welcome back to Talk Funny. And Mike Miller's here again. Thanks, Mike.
Great to be here.
This was a few months ago, but it's still in our minds. We kind of sometimes call it the Nightmare Show. We're continuing to play at this venue, so we don't want to actually name the venue. But why don't you tell the story? We
showed up, and it's at a place in kind of downtown Nagoya, which is known for it's a little bit. Well, let's just say sketchy.
I think we have to say Brazilian. I think we have to.
Brazilian. Well, that's not what I mean, but yeah, it's sketchy place, and it's a place that has a lot of Brazilian clientele. So we go in and we are thinking, well, we're going to bring our fans here, and maybe we'll meet some new fans because a lot of Brazilians speak English, and maybe they like stand-up comedy. Who knows? So we get to the venue, and you go around, and you were going asking people questions about, like, do you speak, how well do you speak English or stuff like that?
Yeah, we got flash mobbed. So we had maybe 3 people who came to see us, and I don't know, 18 people who didn't come to see us. Mm-hmm. They were just there because they just think it's their club, I guess. They ignored the sign that was in English that said comedy night, and they all just sat down, walked right past where you're supposed to pay. So I walked over and I said, so it's comedy night, by the way. Huh? Do you understand Japanese? No. English? No. Okay, well, we're in Japan, and it's comedy night, so I just talked to them in Japanese, and they kind of figured together as a group, they figured it out. I said, so it's 1,000 yen per person, por favor, for Brazilian Portuguese, and they said, okay, and I said, that would be like now, so I mentioned it now, so, and they're just sitting there, they're already there, and you and I have found before that's the hardest thing to do is to get money from someone seated.
Yes.
What are you going to do, physically pick them up?
Right.
We were literally 8 feet away from a place where a guy got stabbed to death.
Yeah.
So this is a very dangerous part of town. And the venue owners, in my opinion, weren't really helping us a lot. They should have helped us.
They kind of just stood back and watched.
That's a two-sided sword, because if they help you, then they're going to want part of the proceeds. And the deal that I struck with them was we collect the money, we get all of the door money.
Yeah.
And a lot of venues want to take 50% to 75%. There's a place, that's out of business now, and they took 75% of the door.
Isn't it funny how they're out of business now?
I don't know the connection.
I don't know why that happened.
Why did I even bring that up?
I don't know.
But those two things are unrelated. And they were rude, and they're not. Did I mention they're not in business anymore?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's very strange how you drew a line between those two completely different things.
And they didn't pay us one month.
Completely unrelated.
Did I mention they're out of business?
Jeez.
Jewish karma is a beautiful, vindictive bitch.
Now you owe your rabbi money for those prayers.
He listens. Don't give him ideas. And so I'm trying to get money from these people who pretend. So, Mike, actually, just you asked me, I actually owe you 750 yen, actually, from a previous show. So go ahead and ask me for that.
Mark, by the way, remember the last show where you mentioned that you were going to pay me 750 yen? You remember that, right?
Что? Понимаете по-русски?
750 yen.
Что?
750 yen.
Не понимаю japonais.
750 yen. King Quick 50 yen.
Now I'm speaking Klingon. Do you speak Klingon? Yeah, I do actually. Okay, I don't speak Klingon. Yeah, so the point is, when you don't want to pay, it's really, if you don't want to understand, you don't want to understand.
Yep.
It's one of my favorite jokes that my dad told me a long time ago, and I use this a lot. But neighbor walks up and says, "Can I borrow your lawnmower?" And he said, "No." And the real reason is he didn't want to lend it, right? Mm-hmm. And the guy said, "Why?" And he said, "Because I'm having spaghetti the day after tomorrow." He said, "Well, what does that have to do with the other thing?" And he said, "Well, if I don't want to do something, one excuse is as good as another," right? And so
that's a good one. I like
the answer is no.
Yeah.
The reason doesn't matter. I don't want to.
Yeah.
And so they were pretending they didn't understand. So what did we do? Did we just leave?
Poor Mark. He's the guy. He's the guy who's always got to be the bouncer type, because he's the biggest of us and the most physically intimidating, I think. I don't know. I'm not good at doing that. It is hard to wring money out of people, like you said, when they sit down. It is very hard.
But also, I played it through in game theory, and I thought, okay, maybe we don't ask the money from them, but these people are going to talk all through our set.
Yeah.
I know they're going to.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're not here to see us.
Yeah.
So
And they don't even understand the language.
Yeah, we reserved this room, and so if you insist on coming, that's fine, and we will try, and we did try to entertain you in Portuguese. It was on-the-job training. We were trying.
How to learn a language in 15 seconds
Mike
or less.
was Googling stuff. I'm like, how do you say ladies and gentlemen? How do you say kill my wife? I got to do my closer, And we went out of our way, and we were nice, and we talked to, I talked to each of them, but if you're going to sit here and talk through our set, the least we can ask is that you pay us.
Yeah.
That's my problem that we had in Osaka, where the baby and the mom, if they had paid, I would have been a little more patient.
Yeah.
But that venue owner didn't even take our side. It didn't make her pay.
Yeah.
And that baby just screamed the whole time.
Yeah.
And if she had paid, and I would have charged the baby too, and then when the baby starts screaming, I'll give you your money back and you can leave.
Yeah.
But you didn't pay anything, so I can't kick you out.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing is I think if you're an owner of a place like this, you have to ask yourself, am I a bar or am I a performance venue? And if you're a performance venue, you've got to collect money from people coming in the door. You can't just say, well, these are my regular customers, so they're just going to sit here by the bar and not pay. Because then other people are saying, well, why did I pay, right? There's a fairness issue. So
Exactly. So I actually went to the venue owner, and I said, they don't know it's comedy night. And the venue owner's Brazilian, or I think these people were all born in Japan, but their parents are from Brazil, and they're a Brazilian community, and they're kind of an isolated community. They didn't bother to learn English. They didn't learn Japanese. I don't know why you'd learn Japanese. Why did I even ask that?
I don't know.
We're in Nagoya, Japan. What does it have to do with Japanese?
It's not like it's a useful life skill.
No. I mean, the kanji just happen to be Japanese letters. But I don't know why you'd learn Japanese.
Yeah.
I mean, your family lives and works here, and you're going to live and work
you
here.
can just say K like 35 times a day. And,
I mentioned to the venue owner, so he mentioned to them it's comedy night, by the way, and it's 1,000 yen. And so then they wanted to pay him, and I said, you have to pay us.
Yeah.
You pay us. And they said, okay, now, agora. You have to pay us now.
Mm-hmm.
Agora. You want to get paid? You got to learn Portuguese. So, so paga nos agora. That's what I ended up saying, and they finally paid us, And I should actually get a dental degree because it was like pulling teeth, getting 1,000 yen from each of these people. And the joke's on them because after we left, there's a band, and then they had 1,000 yen cover charge. So they're going to come in and go, so that'll be 1,000 yen.
Hey, by the way, by the way.
We should have done that. No, that 1,000 yen, that was just for Mark's set. Mike's doing a set.
They must have had a great time. They
paid 2,000 yen, to stay overnight in Nagoya, 8 feet from where a guy got stabbed to death.
And it's not like the kind of hall where there's a concert and then everybody goes outside and then there's a second concert. No, it's like a bar where people just go, sit down, and then we do our act, and then these people do their act. So I feel sorry for that band, whoever they were.
Viviendo la vida loca. Yeah, I bet they had a hard time getting paid. You're like, no, we already paid that.
Yeah.
To who? Well, they're gone.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And we left because after 11 p.m. we were going to have to pay a charge. The band was going to charge us. And we were so exhausted from learning Portuguese while doing a set live. So that's the dilemma that we had. And then we had several meetings over this, and we came to the conclusion that it'd be better to have this experience. Great for the podcast, that's what Mike said.
Yeah.
We're burning for you. So the things we do for this podcast. So it was a great experience, and it actually spurred me to learn Portuguese. So I finished it now, but this was 34 hours into a 75-hour course, and that was about a week after the show. So I was making really good progress.
I think our next podcast is going to be entirely in Portuguese. Isn't that right, Mark?
Si não, por que não? Oh, Don Mike!
Amazonia!
Don't mind. Yeah, we were doing jokes like, the Amazon's on fire and so am I. Hey!
And they're like, Amazon? What's that?
The firefighting.
In Brazil, I made a joke about Bolsonaro. I made a joke about, because in Brazil there was that big scandal called the car wash scandal, and it's called the Lava Jato scandal, where Lula was accused of taking money, and there's this big scandal, anyways. So I said, there's this Brazilian coffee shop called Javalato. I was making a play on words. They just look at me like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it would be...
It was hilarious.
There's such a thing as too much isolation. I mean, okay, so you're Brazilians born and raised in Japan, and a lot of them were Nisei or Sansei.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't understand why there's Brazilians in Japan, it's because the government actually had a visa program. I guess they started it in the late 80s or the 90s, where they would allow descendants of overseas Japanese to come back to Japan and work here. So that's why there's a lot of Brazilians who came to the Nagoya area. They work, a lot of them, in factories, subcontractors for Toyota, stuff like that. So that's why there's more Brazilians living here than there are English speakers, that's for sure.
That's true. And so, they call them Nisei and it's on, say, second and third generation. I think these kids are either the grandchildren or the children of the factory workers, right? And they live in Toyohashi and Anjo and some kind of, these are suburbs, very far suburbs of Nagoya. And they're all basically in the infrastructure of building cars, parts and things like that. They're Brazilians, but they're not Brazilian.
Culture,
They live in Japan, but they're not Japanese.
Yeah.
They don't understand English culture or Japanese culture. After a while, we were thinking, does Toyohashi have a news station? I mean, what do I have to make Anjo jokes or something for you to get?
I think maybe factory working jokes or something like that. I don't know, jokes about like the press.
The funny thing is, they were playing a lot of classic rock at this bar. These kids, that was from the 70s. These kids, their parents probably don't even remember this music, Apparently, classic rock was pretty big, with the Brazilian crowd. But it was kind of, we were thinking, what can we make a joke about, And so we just basically I did this old anti-apartheid song that I knew.
Which was awesome. And we were laughing. I don't know. The kids, I think they were just so young. And like you said, they're so kind of alienated from Brazil that they didn't really get what you were on about. But you just hammered it and hammered it and hammered it to the point where anybody would laugh at that.
But and I figured out the only thing they're going to know is train station names.
Yeah.
So that's what I started just doing, Okay, so we can't make jokes about Brazil because you don't know about it. Okay, we can't make jokes about Abe. You probably don't know about it. You don't know Japanese politics. Can't make jokes about the U.S. You don't read world news.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but comedy, right? Like you have comedy in Brazil. Yeah, but we don't watch that. Okay. But comedy, right? Yeah, we've never seen comedy. Okay, this is going to be,
it's going to be great.
So we ended up doing, I think, a 55-minute total show.
Yeah.
Because we were just, I guess, I don't know, I'm just going to do my set, and I try to do my stuff in Portuguese, and I try to do...
You really did a great job, Mark, because you were really trying hard. Because Mark speaks Spanish, so he was doing the best he could to try and port it over to Portuguese.
And then I noticed that when I spoke Spanish, they bristled. And so during somebody's set, I Googled, and it said, they take offense if you speak Spanish, Brazilians do. Okay, but what about these people? What are these people? They're not Brazilians. What are you?
They're not Japanese.
We're Anjoites. What are you?
I believe the correct term is stateless.
we're stateless. No Brazilian, no laugh. No Brazilian, no laugh. And so what I've Googled, and it said Italian actually will work better if you don't know Portuguese. And now after learning Portuguese, it's very close to a Sicilian dialect of Italian that I know. It's very close to it because all the vowels blend in. You have to listen really careful. There's not a lot of consonants, and that's a lot like Sicilian. So I ended up doing, Italian, Spanish, and Japanese jokes, and then end it with muito obrigado.
Yeah.
And then gestures with, here's some onions, and here's my wife, and here's a joke about which one I'm going to cry about when I cut it up. This kind of thing. And they got that. And there's that one cute girl with glasses. She was always watching us, and I reviewed it on the camera. And she was really trying hard. I think next time I'm going to bring her up and just do some crowd work with her and just, get her to semi-translate some stuff.
It's kind of like... in business, they say sometimes you have to educate your customer. I think in our case, we have to educate our audience as to what stand-up comedy actually is, because they maybe have no idea what it is.
They say in Portuguese, first the earth cooled.
Yeah.
And then, after people stopped farming so much, they had industrial jobs.
Yeah.
And then they had free time at night. And this created a demand. Y ese creó demanda para... for laughing and entertainment. And so out of this came vaudeville. This is before your time. This is before my time, too, but I know about it. It's before your time. Okay, how much time we got left? Okay. And then in the 60s, there's a guy, 50s to 60s, guy named Lenny Bruce. And he would talk about society, and people had never laughed at that before. And when you have a show and you laugh at things, that's called comedy. That's what we thought we were doing tonight, but apparently not. And so everybody
we have to show a documentary before we go on.
So do your homework, and then come next time, and then we'll explain the jokes. So I'm sorry we didn't have... I think I said it at one point. Sorry you guys couldn't be here tonight.
Yeah.
But we don't know how to talk to you. I mean, I have to be from your block to even know what you think is funny. What do you think is funny? When someone drops a churasco sandwich, is that funny? I don't even know what you think is funny. I looked on Brazil TV, and it's just pranks and stuff, but you don't watch Brazilian TV.
Yeah.
So I don't... Why would you bring that up? Well, because they consider themselves Brazilians, but they're not Brazilians, and they're not Japanese.
Yeah.
And they're a minority in a Brazilian community that's not Brazilian anymore.
Yeah.
It's very possible they haven't been to Brazil.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of them haven't because it's so expensive. It's so far away.
It would be kind of as if Mike came to my house and my dog had a dog, and then that dog had puppies, and then Mike was trying to explain to that